Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to tell you a story about my first job, that I had with Professor R when I started retrieving relics for people and bringing them back to the person. Professor R was my mythology professor at the time, just in case if you have not watched any of my other videos. I at this time had passed his class and was out of his class and did not have to see him in school anymore. But everybody that was in my class had remained to keep contact with Professor R because Professor R was like our old uncle at this point. Like we didn't have we had our own special relationship with him, for real. And he said that that's what he had got a class for, to create a special bond or a special relationship like with young people, to help him on his journey to continue to, I don't know, prove that mythology is real, I guess. Because Professor R, he thinks he's a wizard. Okay, I know, but he lives in his own world. Okay, so Professor R is something else. He's truly an eccentric, and he's truly he was a great professor. He taught me a lot. And so at this point, everyone in our class had learned enough to go and do the type of work that Professor R does on our own. So at this point, I had gathered me up a group. It was me, this girl, Kim, we'll call her Kim, and my other friend that comes from the Craigslist seance exorcism video, her. Okay. My friend that liked the haunted house guys, she is the person that I chose to, come along with me or whatever, help me out if I need help. Okay. Those two actually were in the last video that I had did about the graveyard. Okay. That was one of my second jobs that I had did messing with Professor R. So Professor R, he had only seen me in school, and of course I told you guys about the time that his wife had invited us to Thanksgiving dinner, and we went on plenty of field trips with Professor R. Professor R always see me as me. Okay, like I always show up with Professor R as myself. But sometimes, guys, when I just want to go get some milk, or when I just want to quietly buy me a candy bar, or I just want to quietly just tiptoe somewhere, I will completely tone it down. Okay, I will tone it down completely. Like I do have a lot of eccentric clothes, and I do look quite different when I go in public. So I have had people stop me and ask me, can they take a picture with me and stuff like that, and I just do not want to be bothered sometimes. So this particular day that I got my first job from Professor R, um, I, I was toned down that day. Okay, I was completely toned down that day, and I was actually out and about. Okay, and Professor R called my phone, and he was like, "Hey, I have somebody that wants me to come and pick something up, but I figure you could use the money, and it was a fairly easy job, so I was just going to ask you to do it for me instead." And now Professor R knows that I drive. Professor R knows that I have a car. I can go pick it up and stuff like that or whatever. And of course, I was going to get paid for it, and my girls were going to get paid for it too as well. So this is our job at this point. If you want to know about the second job that I had did, watch the graveyard video that I did before this one. Okay. And so Professor R, he pulls up on me. He's laughing because like I'm completely toned down, like I don't want to be bothered or whatever. And so he's like, "Oh my goodness, you don't look like you, but you still look like you." He's basically saying it was like a Hannah Montana moment or whatever. And so I talked to him for a moment. He told me what the job was. He said that he even gave me a backstory for it too. Okay, so here's the backstory of this that I'm going to go pick up for my first job. Okay. And so it's a guy. Of course, it's always a guy. I'm just joking. It's ladies sometimes too as well. So it's a guy, and he claims that he caught and met a centaur. Okay. So he caught a centaur, and this is all his claims. He had a journal, and his journal was found by a professor, and the professor was in a pursuit to find these horseshoes that was placed on this centaur. So the story is that the guy caught the centaur. He kept him for a while. The centaur couldn't get out of his, shackles, or I guess whatever he had him kept in. And eventually he was able to get out of it, and eventually he was able to find the tools to get those horseshoes off of his foot and his feet. Okay, because he has more feet than anyone. Okay, so his feet. Okay, and it said that he left them in a pile and like cursed them. Okay, and so the guy wanted the horseshoes. Okay, and he had said that he had found someone that had said that they found them, and he wanted to buy them from the person. He did make the purchase. The person was supposed to be dropping them off somewhere for me to go and pick them up and then retrieve them and drop them off to the guy. Okay, so that's the job. Okay, and I get paid once the guy get his horseshoes. Okay, he has 4 horseshoes that he wants. They were put in a pile together. None of them were supposedly missing. Yes, they were supposed to be cursed. Yes, Professor R gave me the enchantment spell to say that's why the guy cannot go pick them up, because they're supposed to be cursed. I'm supposed to say this enchantment spell, and I'm supposed to basically uncurse them so that way I can pick them up and put them in a case to give them to the guy. Okay, and so the person that has the horseshoes contacted Professor R and said that they were going to leave them in the back of a haunted church. Okay, and this haunted church is well known. Okay, everyone knows it. Everyone knows about it, and it was easy to find, and I didn't matter. I didn't mind driving over there to go and pick it up. I was getting paid to do this or whatever. So he already got his payment. He's just leaving them there. Nobody should touch them. Nobody should have them. Perfectly fine. Right? Right? Okay, well, I live in a city, and there's a lot of people in a city, and people touch things that aren't theirs in cities a lot. And so I turn into me, go pick my girls up, put it in the GPS, the church address, so we can go, just put them in a case and go give them to this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the enchantment, like I already had it wrote down on a piece of paper. And Professor R, he's old school, so he wants me to write it down. Don't put it in your phone. Say it out loud, all of this stuff. Like, he have rules, okay? So I had no choice but to write it on paper, because Professor R is old school, okay? He wanted to make sure that I had it. So I go get my girls. We have the spell. We have everything. We're chilling. This should be a piece of cake, okay? And so we get there to the church, and we don't see anybody outside. It's nighttime. We're doing our thing. We got the music on. We park our car. We're chilling. And then we say, okay, well, come on, let's get ready to go and get the horseshoes. So we pack up, we get ready. Everybody get their purse, whatever it is that they're going to get, their jacket, whatever. So we could just go get these horseshoes and get up out of here, right? So why we get back there behind the church, and it's 2 little crackheads back there messing with the horseshoes, looking at them, talking about, hey, when we came back there, as if it was their backyard. And so my friend, she was like, hey. She did it back to them, and they was like, okay, they ain't scared of us or whatever. So you gonna have to owe them an explanation And she just said it out loud, like, why you touching my stuff? Why you touching my stuff? Why you got my stuff in your hand? He was like, oh, baby, I ain't know this was yours. This is heavy. This is heavy. You ain't playing no horseshoes with them. You ain't playing no horseshoes. Like, they ain't for playing horseshoes. And she snatched, like, the thing that they was in, like, this black, like, knapsack. They was in that. And she snatched it. And we knew that they was in there because they was peeking in. They was like holding one of them when we was walking back there, and we started the hey match, okay? And so she snatched it from them. They didn't have no attitude. They knew it wasn't theirs or whatever, but they did touch it though. So I don't know what wound up happening to them, but I told her to drop the sack, okay? And she dropped it. She immediately dropped it. And they stood there like, oh my God, what's on it? What's on it? And so I told everybody to just stand still. And I started reciting the enchantment. So that way, everybody could be okay. Because both of the little crackheads had touched it. And then my friend, she had snatched the sack from them. Even though she didn't touch the actual horseshoe that was in the sack. And them two idiots did. It's still, I don't know if the sack was contaminated, with horseshoe residue. Okay, so I decided to do the enchantment. And the crackheads, they were scared. They was like, oh, what we done walked up on. Oh. Oh my goodness. Urban cities are hilarious. And so he was cracking me up as I was saying the stuff, but I couldn't laugh. I couldn't break the enchantment. So he was all in the background. Wow, what we done walked up into. And his friend, he kept calling him Bud. So that was his friend's name, Bud, the other little crackhead man. And he was like, what we done walked into, Bud? What we done walked to? And Bud was just looking with his mouth open. He was like, he was just looking. And so I had did the enchantment or whatever, and after that I picked the bag up and then I told them like, hey, don't touch stuff that you don't know about, especially around this church, buddy. And then they were laughing and they were like, oh, what was that? Is y'all some actors? Is y'all some actors? Is y'all some something? What is y'all? That's what they wanted to know what we was after that. So my friend had gave Bud $5, and they walked us to the car, and then they told us to be safe out here because everybody ain't nice like them, and we told them to be safe too because all these young folks ain't the same. And they went on about their way, and we done went on about our way. Okay, so I don't know if anything ever happened to him or Bud for touching the horseshoes, but I did say the enchantment just in case. So hopefully nothing ever happened to them because they was just being nosy. Okay, they was just being nosy. Okay, and so we got in the car, I put the stuff in there or whatever, and then after that we had met the man. He wanted us to meet him at his home. Usually these people have us drop the stuff at their home. His wife was going to be retrieving it for him because he was too scared to touch it. So I guess she wasn't scared to touch it first or whatever to see if I actually disenchanted or unenchanted the horseshoes. And she came out first or whatever. Beautiful home, just like the other guy from the video from that I did last. The beautiful home, beautiful neighborhood, beautiful family. Just very eccentric people that believe in fairy tales, believe in mythology, believe in folklore. And they believe that those horseshoes are worth something and they wanted them. Okay, and so I took them. They were happy. They asked us if we want some food. We said no because it was smelling like something that I hadn't ate before. And my friends, they better not have to say that they wanted something. They was already, hired by me. Girl, if you want something, I'll buy you something on the way home. Okay? Don't be eating, be courteous. Okay? Be courteous. All right? So they said no too, like they were supposed to. And we left, and Professor R gave me my payment. That was my first payment that I did. That I got. And my girls, they was happy and they was hyped. They like, oh my God, we could get paid for this girl. And we was all happy and stuff. And we was laughing at Bud because his mouth was open like, while I was doing that. So we was laughing at Bud for like a week off of that. And then I just kept doing jobs. Like Professor R just kept calling me and asking me like to help with him with stuff that he either didn't feel like doing, couldn't do, or had too much on his hands, and he just couldn't get to it or whatever. So that was my little hustle. That was my job. I was doing my thing. I was the X Files. I was the Twilight Zone. I was doing my thing. Okay, Stephen King. Doing my thing. Okay, so I had a lot of fun, before I became an author doing that particular job. But that's what I'm gonna be telling y'all. I'm telling y'all all of my journey so y'all can know me better. Okay. Um, I felt like it was better for me to have better communication, a more solid foundation. People could get to know me more, and it's fun. Why not? Why not tell what happened? Because I mean, it's hilarious stuff. It's good material. And I was talking to Kim the other day about this, and she was saying that she was like, "Girl, I don't even remember all the stuff, and you remember what actually happened, and that's so cool." And blah blah blah. Oh my goodness! And we were just laughing and carrying on about how fun it was when we was doing this whole crazy job with Professor R. Okay. Yes. So that was the story of when I did my first job by myself to go retrieve some horseshoes and give them to his man. Okay, not any old horseshoes, Centaur horseshoes, horseshoes that Centaur did not want on him. Okay, they kept saying him, so it was a he. That's what they believe. I told a couple of my classmates about my first job, and of course, if you know B from any other videos, he did not believe it. He don't believe that the horseshoes. He said they came from Dick's Sporting Goods. I was like, oh my goodness. Well, I got paid, so it is what it is. Um, but yeah, that was a very fun, hilarious moment that I had with street people. Okay, and my friends. We were just having a good time, and I guess I'll just tell you guys about the couple other jobs that I did, because by now, like, I mean, I wasn't gonna sit here and just tell you guys every single thing that Professor R had did with us, but I definitely I got other stuff to tell you guys too, like that happened along the way. So I guess I'll dig into some of everything. Okay. And I hope you guys have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.